Introduction, Navigation, and Setup. Welcome to the PA5X video manual. This musical instrument is an elegant and powerful music production and performance workstation. It's easy to use with a clear user interface that features a large color touch display, illuminated color-coded buttons on the control panel, a 16-button matrix section, and much more. Whether you've chosen the 88-note piano-like hammer action keyboard version or the 76 or 61-note semi-weighted version, you'll find the authentic feel and full control of expression inspirational. Before we get started, let's restart the PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. Hold down the power button until the display dims. Then release the button. Once it goes completely black, press the power button again to turn it back on. It takes a few seconds to start up and load all the necessary data like PCM and other resources similar to when you start a computer. In this video, we'll cover the main functions of your PA5X. There's a lot to cover, so each exercise will be brief, but it should be enough to get you started. We recommend that you watch the chapters in order. For more detailed information, access the PDF manuals available on the Korg website. Don't be concerned if the styles and sounds in your unit are different or organized in different locations than shown in this video. The ones used in this video are for example only. If you're instructed to select a particular style or sound and either it isn't there or the name is different, select any other and continue to follow along. Okay, let's look at navigating around the interface of the PA5X. If you're familiar with previous Korg PA keyboards, you'll notice that there isn't a style play mode or a song play mode. Instead, it's designed to have direct accessibility to the three main things you use the PA5X for: styles, songs, and the sounds you play on the keyboard, called keyboard sets. For example, on previous PA keyboards you played styles in style play mode and played songs in song play mode. But now, playing styles and playing songs are done from the same place, here. Player 1 and Player 2. You can play a style on Player 1 and then crossfade to an MP3 on Player 2. You can even crossfade between styles. The control panel has been completely redesigned to be logical and easily accessible. Let's take a look. We'll get into detail in each area in the following chapters, but in general, this is the control section with 9 sliders and 9 switches to control things like volume levels, organ drawbars, assignable functions, etc. The styles, pads, and markers area to control the automatic accompaniment and more. The players area, the sounds area, switches to choose keyboard sets and access your favorites. The matrix, 16 programmable buttons to do things like triggering sounds, phrases, track play mute, etc. The navigation and data entry area to go through menus, pages, and parameters and change the value of the selected parameter. The tempo area, and finally, the heart of the user interface, the touchscreen display. The display can be tilted up and down for optimal visibility. Hold down the unlock button, and the display will pop up slightly. Keep holding the button, adjust it to the desired position, and release the button. Behind the display, there's a support that can be used to reinforce the display and keep it from moving. To return the display to the closed position, hold it in the middle, then press and hold the unlock button. Gently press the center of the top border to return it to the closed position, then release the button. To adjust the brightness of the display, first hold down the Shift button, then hold down the Menu button, and turn the dial. It will retain that setting until you choose to adjust it again. In the following chapters, we'll be looking more deeply into the display, but basically you touch it to directly access and adjust what you want. For example, touch here in the upper right corner. This opens the Page menu, similar to a drop-down menu on a computer. It will show a variety of options relative to the particular page you're on. Touch what you want, for example, Save Keyboard Set. For now, press Exit. One of the powerful new features of the PA5X is the Control section, a group of 9 sliders and 9 switches. The function assigned to each slider or button is on this strip display. Press the View button to alternate showing what the sliders and the buttons are assigned to. These 5 buttons select what the sliders and switches are controlling. Touch the Control tab on the display. This page mirrors what is selected in the Control section. Touch the Main tab to return to the first page. The PA5X is designed so that when you turn it off and on, the status of a few of the panel switches will return to how they were when you turned it off. For example, if autofill was on, then it will be on after you restart. If it was off, then it will be off when you restart. So it will be exactly how you like it set up as soon as you turn it on. So at the beginning of each of the following chapters, you'll be instructed how to set up your PA5X to be the same as mine, so you can follow along if you wish. Let's take a quick look at the rear panel. Audio inputs from mic and guitar. Audio outputs. Pedal connectors. MIDI. Access to the user micro SD slot. USB connectors. And an HDMI video out. You can connect an optional damper pedal here. There are many different damper pedals available, so it's a good idea to calibrate the PA5X to your particular pedal the first time you use it. Like with many computer applications, the PA5X has a settings area where you access parameters that affect the instrument as a whole. Press Settings. If your display doesn't look like this, then press Menu. Here are the 9 edit sections. Touch Controllers. This edit section has 4 pages seen here on the right of the display. Touch the Foot page. Touch Damper Calibration. Press and hold down the pedal and touch here. Now release the pedal and touch here. Done. This calibration is automatically saved and you won't need to do it again until you use a different pedal or foot switch. You may want to set the date and time for your particular location. Still in Settings, press Menu, touch General Controls, Clock and Power page. Select the clock format here. A parameter can be adjusted in several ways. First, touch the parameter you want to adjust, then use either the dial or the up-down buttons. You can also touch and drag up and down, or left and right, to adjust the value. Or select a parameter twice and a numeric keypad appears for you to enter the specific value you want. Some parameters have a triangle beside it. Touching it opens a list to select from. To set the time, touch Apply. To avoid wasting power, your PA5X will automatically turn off if you don't play it, press any buttons, or use the touch screen display for a period of 2 hours. Please save your data, for example, keyboard sets, styles, songs, etc., that you are editing before taking a prolonged pause. This function can be shut off if you wish, here. Korg recommends keeping it on. All these settings are automatically saved. Press Exit. And finally, your PA5X comes with several demo songs. Press Main and keyboard pad simultaneously to enter demo mode. The first demo song starts and will play through each of the songs. You can jump to specific songs by selecting from one of these 3 categories: full songs, solo instruments, or styles. Demo mode is an excellent way of discovering the sounds, styles, and capabilities of this amazing instrument. Press Main and keyboard pad simultaneously to exit demo mode. Selecting sounds. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. Also, once the PA5X is started up, make sure that memory and autofill buttons are on, the control section is set to main, view set to sliders, the keyboard set library buttons set to category, the matrix should be set to bank 1, and reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. The PA5X offers a huge amount of high-quality PCM sounds across different musical genres. New and unique sounds, plus powerful expressive instruments such as strings, brass, woodwind, and other acoustic sounds have been produced especially for the PA5X. Many of the new sounds are inspired by and come from the Korg Kronos, Nautilus, and SV2. The sounds are organized in keyboard sets. These can be as simple as a piano sound across the whole range of the keyboard, or splits and layers, with up to 3 sounds in the upper range and 1 sound in the lower range. Keyboard sets are contained in a dedicated library that you can access from the display or the control panel. Make sure that category is selected and not favorites. We'll look at favorites later on in this chapter. These keyboard set library buttons allow you to quickly go to a particular category. For example, press the E piano button, short for electric piano, and the button turns green, indicating the category you've selected. A window opens showing the electric piano keyboard sets. Touch the one you want. Pressing Exit returns to the main page. You can also open the keyboard set selection window by touching here. The categories are selected here on the left. Select the synth category. The keyboard sets are shown in groups of 10. Touch here to go to the other groups of 10, or use the up-down buttons or the wheel. You'll notice that all 6 pages are colored gray, meaning they are all available. Since this arrow button is gray, it means there are more pages available. Go to the sax category. Notice that only pages 1, 2, and 3 are available, and the others are colored black, and so not available. It shows here that the factory group is selected. Beside it is the user group. Any keyboard set that you've edited and saved, or any new ones you've loaded in, are saved to this group and found here. The drives group is where you can access keyboard sets directly from an external storage device. Go back to the factory group. You'll notice the drive path information at the bottom of the display. We'll look at that in the data management chapter. You can also find keyboard sets by pressing this search button. Touch here and a list opens up for you to select what you're looking for. Touch keyboard set. Touch here and use the on-screen QWERTY keyboard to type. Type in pad. And touch search on the display. Here are all the keyboard sets with pad in the name. You can touch here to scroll down for more, or use the up-down buttons or the wheel. When you see the one you want, touch the name and then press Exit. Press the My Setting button. This button accesses your most favorite keyboard set and is the first one selected when you turn on the PA5X. The factory default is a stereo piano across the whole keyboard, but you can set it to be whatever you like to use the most. That might be a layer of electric piano and strings, a split of bass and organ, etc. It's a fast and easy way to jump to your favorite keyboard set. To save your favorite keyboard set or any edits you've done to My Setting, select the keyboard set you want first, then hold down the My Setting button until the right window appears. Touching Save, then Yes to confirm, would continue the write process and write over the current setting. For now, press Exit twice to keep the original My Setting unchanged and return to the main page. You can save an edited keyboard set to one of the keyboard set user locations. Make sure this is set to category. Then hold down any keyboard set library button. Then touch T to name it, and then touch here to choose where you want to save it. Press Exit. Press this button to change it from category to favorite. Now these buttons access 11 of your favorite keyboard sets. From the factory, they are assigned to keyboard sets that match the category name above each button, but you can assign any keyboard set to any favorite button. Make sure this is set to favorite, then hold down any favorite button for a couple of seconds, and this window appears showing each button's assignment. FTY is short for factory group, then the category, then the name of the keyboard set. Touching this trash can icon deletes the current assignment. Touch here, and the keyboard set selection window opens for you to choose what you want on this Favorites button. Press Exit twice. Playing sounds. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. Also, once the PA5X is started up, make sure that memory and autofill buttons are on, the control section is set to main, view set to sliders, the keyboard set library buttons set to category, the matrix should be set to bank 1, and reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. In this chapter, we'll focus on how to bring the sounds to life and how to use the PA5X features and tools to make them work best for you and your performance. On the main page, you can touch here to go to the keyboard set selection window. And on the keys page, you can touch here. But the other pages don't have that. That's when the keyboard set library buttons come in handy. You can use them to instantly go to the keyboard set category you want. Press Guitar, Page 4, select Guitar's Atmosphere, press Exit. These buttons indicate the play-mute status of the different sounds in the keyboard set. In this case, split is on and lower is muted. And upper 1, 2, and 3 are on. Here on the Keys tab, the sounds used are displayed. Let's listen to the individual sounds. Upper 1 is an electric guitar. Upper 2 is an acoustic guitar. Upper 3 is an electric piano and pad. Lower is muted, but there's a sound assigned. In this case, analog strings if you want to use it. Let's look at the control section. Make sure main is selected. This strip display in the control section indicates what each slider is assigned to control. In this case, the levels of the keyboard set, the 2 players, etc. Press View. Now the strip display shows what the switches are assigned to, muting and unmuting things like your microphone, as well as turning on and off some other performance functions. Press View again. Go to the Control tab. This page mirrors the Control section. Set the Control section to Keyboard Pad. Now the sliders are used to adjust the overall level of the keyboard set, as well as the individual sounds used in the keyboard set. These sliders adjust the volumes of the 4 pads. We'll look at pads in the Styles chapter. Go to the main page and use the display to go to the organ category. Select this first organ, DWB Famous Y+. Press Exit. DWB in the keyboard set name is an abbreviation for drawbar. The sound in the lower is a sampled organ sound. But the upper 1 sound is using the PA5X digital drawbar organ. Set the control section to Easy Edit DWB. The control sliders are set to control the drawbars with the footages displayed below each slider. Go to the control page, and the drawbars and switches are displayed. You can even adjust the drawbars by touching and dragging. By the way, when a digital drawbar organ is selected, pressing the Easy Edit DWB button again brings up other organ parameters like percussion, amplifier gain, leakage, and more. Go back to the main page. You can hear that there's a rotary speaker effect on this organ. The Y+ in the keyboard set name means that pushing the joystick forward switches the speed of the rotary speaker. No need to hold it. This kind of attention to detail is one of the many reasons the PA5X sounds are so realistic. Let's look at a few examples. Press the My Setting button. From the factory, this is an Austrian grand piano. Most other keyboards simply sample the notes of a piano, but the PA5X pianos go much further. Let's turn off the reverb so we can really hear the piano itself. Press Menu, touch Mixer Effects, and go to the Master Effects tab on the right. And touch here to turn off the reverb effect. Press Exit and go to the Keys page. First of all, notice that there's the sound of the hammer that strikes the piano strings. On and off when the hammer returns. There's the sound of the damper pedal being pressed. Press octave down and notice the natural release of the lower notes. Press octave down and up simultaneously to return to the normal octave. And notice the natural overtones. Even the sympathetic response of the other strings when the damper pedal is pressed. There are 4 pianos like this in the PA5X, an Austrian grand, a German grand, a Japanese grand, and an Italian grand. By the way, mute upper 1. The Austrian grand RX on upper 2 is the sound with all of the mechanical sounds. So you can easily remove them or adjust the volume to your personal taste. Go back to the main page. The PA5X sounds are easy to control via Korg's DNC, Defined Nuance Control System, allowing the performer to accurately and expressively introduce the most subtle nuances in sound articulations. Utilizing the switches, the joystick, the ribbon controller, even how you play the keyboard to bring the sounds to life. For example, natural violin. Notice the natural vibrato. When you play legato, it truly plays legato. Watch what happens when you play notes legato more than a minor 6th range. If these switches are lit, that means they will affect the sound in some way. Press switch 1 to get marcato. Switch 2 for pizzicato. And switch 3 for this effect. Starting from G, each octave is a major, a minor, etc. The new drums in the PA5X are incredible. Press Record Edit. Touch Sound Edit, then touch here, and go down to page 2, and touch the drum category. Select PopKit 1RR, and play the snare drum on this D note. Normally when you play the same note over and over, the same sample is played, which doesn't sound realistic. Korg has designed a round-robin and velocity switch system so the same sample isn't played twice in a row. That's why the drums sound so real. Listen. Press Exit, then Record Edit to return to the main page. All this round-robin drum technology and dynamic nuance control of the other instruments is all happening behind the scenes. That's why the drums, the basses, the saxes, everything in fact, sounds so realistic. The PA5X is so powerful that you can change from one keyboard set to another without cutting off the previous sound and its effects. This is called SST, Smooth Sound Transition. I'll set this to favorites and go through some sounds. Nothing will get cut off. Styles. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. Also, once the PA5X is started up, make sure that memory and autofill buttons are on, the control section is set to main, view set to sliders, the keyboard set library buttons set to category, the matrix should be set to bank 1, and reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. Let's look at selecting and playing styles. As I mentioned in the first chapter, you can have a style assigned to player 1 and a different style to player 2. You'll notice that as you move the crossfade slider back and forth, the blue light or the yellow light indicate the current player. Also, on the display, the corresponding style will light up and the other will dim. For now, move the crossfade slider all the way to the left. Since we restarted the PA5X, my setting is selected by default. Over here in the chord section, you'll notice that lower and upper are on, meaning that a chord is recognized anywhere on the keyboard. A chord is recognized when you play 3 or more notes. Play a chord and start the style by pressing this Player 1 Start button. Notice that a new chord isn't triggered until 3 or more notes are played, allowing you to play melodies. Press Stop. Let's select a new style for Player 1. Touch here, and a selection window opens, similar to the keyboard set selection window. The categories are selected here on the left. You'll notice the down arrow is available, meaning there are more than 12 categories. Touch here to go back up. You'll recognize the similarity to selecting keyboard sets. 10 displayed at a time. To access more groups of 10, touch along here, or use the up-down buttons, or the wheel. Go to the Jazz category, and select Latin Jazz Band. Press Exit. Play a chord anywhere, and start Player 1. Now start Player 2, and slowly crossfade from Player 1 to Player 2. Let's change the Player 1 style, but instead of touching the display, touch the Player 1 Style button to access the Style Select window. Go to the Dance category and select All Night Dance. Press Exit and crossfade back to Player 1. Stop both players. Like we saw in the Sounds chapter, you can search for styles as well by pressing the Search button. It's already set to search for styles. Type something like Tango and touch Search. Here are all the styles with Tango in the name. Select the one you want, and a prompt asks which player you want to use. Choose Player 1 and press Exit. I'll use tap tempo to start the style. From the Country category, Page 1, select Acoustic Country. Exit. Each style has 15 style elements. These are used to recreate the parts of songs, intros, variations, fills, and endings. You use these buttons to select a style element. Many of the PA5X buttons have multicolored lights providing a clear and detailed picture at all times. For example, these style element buttons. The intros, the variations, the fills, the break, and the endings are grouped by color. The current style element button is yellow. There are 3 intros. Intro 1 has a chord progression. Intro 2 doesn't have a chord progression. It follows the chords you play on the keyboard. And Intro 3 has a quick 1-measure intro. Endings 1, 2, and 3 work the same way. As you go from variation 1 to 4, the musical parts naturally build and get busier in the same way a typical song builds. You'll notice that since autofill is on, a fill is automatically played into the selected variation. You can turn this off so no fill is played. Whether autofill is on or off, you can always directly select the fill you want here. You'll notice that the fills get busier as you go from fill 1 to fill 4. This is used as a break fill. Press Stop and turn autofill back on. Notice the tempo of the two styles. When you press this lock button beside the tempo up-down buttons, the tempo of the current player is set for the other player. Start player 1. Then at the start of a measure, start player 2. Now you can crossfade from one to the other, and the two styles are running at the same tempo. Stop both players. For more accuracy, hold down Shift and start either of the players. Now they are perfectly in sync. Crossfade to player 1. Stop both players. Turn off tempo lock. Go to the pop category, page 2, Sunrise Pop Funk. Exit. You'll notice that even though we selected different styles, the original keyboard set didn't change. But actually every style has 4 keyboard sets saved with it. The names are displayed here on the display and can be selected by touching the name, or with these 4 keyboard set buttons. Select the keyboard set 3. Let's use Synchro Start so the style will start as soon as you play the keyboard. Almost all of the factory keyboard sets are set up as a split and using lower chord scanning, meaning the chords are triggered below the split point with 3 or more notes. Turn off Synchro Start. Some people like to have the same keyboard set to play over each style, but let's set it up so that when you select a new style, the first keyboard set saved with that style will be automatically selected. Over here in the Control section, select User. View is set to show what the sliders are controlling, but press it to show what the buttons are controlling. You'll see that switch 8 is Style to Keyboard Set. Turn that on. Remember that you don't need to set the view to switches to activate them. The View button is just changing the strip display information. Touch Player 1, Classic Pop category, page 1, Georgie Pop, exit. You'll notice that the first keyboard set, Digital Grand, is already selected, and the other keyboard sets saved with the style are easily selected as well. There are 3 possibilities with Style to Keyboard Set. Off, keeping the same keyboard set when you change styles. On, which selects the first keyboard set of the style and will stay the same as you change to a different variation. And flashing. Now when you select variation 2, keyboard set 2 is selected. Variation 3, keyboard set 3 is selected, etc. For now, press it until it is on but not flashing. From the Movie and Show category, page 2, Peter Theme, exit. These pad buttons can have sounds and phrases assigned to them that follow the chords you play and sync with the style. They can play once when you press it, indicated by this arrow symbol, or loop, indicated by this cycle symbol. This stop button stops the loop. Set the Control section to Style Song and press View so the strip display shows the slider information. Now the sliders control the volume of the 8 separate tracks of the style, with the 9th slider controlling the volume of the keyboard set. Press View. The switches mute and unmute each track. Latin Dance category, page 1, Pop Reggaeton. Exit. There's a keyboard set feature that's used along with the chords of a style called Ensemble. Select keyboard set 3 of this style. The possible ways to have the harmonies are incredible. For example, keyboard set 1, Ensemble adds octaves. Keyboard set 2 already has Ensemble saved with it. It does a trill when more than 2 notes are played simultaneously. Keyboard set 4, turn on Ensemble. This keyboard set has 3 sounds. Mute upper 1 and 2. Upper 3 is only triggered with a higher velocity. But you'll notice that even though ensemble is on, only single notes are played. Upper 2 again, only single notes. But upper 1 is playing block chords. Turn on upper 1, 2, and 3. Funk and Blues category, page 1, remember funk, exit. In the upper right of the PA5X is the powerful new programmable matrix of big, easily accessible buttons to trigger elements like sounds and phrases, plus control functions like track, play, mute, etc. Go to the Matrix tab to see what each button is assigned to. There are 3 banks of 16 assignable buttons, plus mute. Select mute. Start the style and use the matrix to mute and unmute the parts. Press stop and set the matrix back to bank 1. From the jazz category, page 1, modern big band, exit. Select variation 2. You'll notice that this chord sequence button is lit white. That means there's a chord sequence saved with this style. Go to the chords page and press the chord sequence button so it flashes yellow, and the chord progression appears on the display. Just press start and the progression will play and loop. It will loop until you press the chord sequence button again. Press stop. To record your own chord sequence, touch record. Play the first chord, then press start and play the chords. Press stop. Press the chord sequence button so it flashes yellow, and press start. Go to Page menu to save it. Playing songs. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. And reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. The PA5X is able to play 2 song files at the same time and crossfade from one to the other. But not only from a MIDI file to another or to an MP3 file, but from a song file to a style as well. The files are played directly from the internal memory or from media inserted into the USB host port on the back or on the top right of the PA5X. If you want to follow along with this exercise, you'll need a USB flash drive with a MIDI file, a karaoke MIDI file, and an MP3 on it. Insert the flash drive here into the USB port on the top right of the instrument. Let's put a standard MIDI file on player 1. Touch here, and touch Song at the top of the display. All the connected and internal drives are listed here on the left. Touch your USB drive to show the available files. Touch the name of the MIDI file you want for player 1 and press exit. And let's put an MP3 file on player 2. Instead of accessing the Song Select window by touching the display, use the faster way by pressing the Player 2 Song button. Your USB drive is probably still selected on the left. Touch the MP3 you want for player 2 and press exit. Start player 1, then player 2, and use the crossfade slider to smoothly change from one song to the other. Then crossfade back to player 1. Press stop on both players. By the way, like we saw in the Styles chapter, Tempo Lock will synchronize both players, whether they are both playing a MIDI file or one playing a MIDI file and the other a style. Some MIDI files have lyrics embedded in them, for example, a file with a .kar extension. Let's select a .kar song for player 1. Start. To show the lyrics, press the Lyrics button located to the right of the display. The lyrics follow along. The PA5X can even display the +G graphical format as well as lyrics embedded in MP3s. If there are no lyrics embedded, you have the option to have the lyrics in a text file and use the value controls, a foot switch, or assign one of the control section user buttons to advance the pages of text. Pressing the score button beside the lyrics button displays a selected track's musical notation. Press exit and stop. Many MIDI files have song marker events. These can be read by the PA5X. I'll load this song called Marker SMF. Press Start. When I press the marker button here, the markers are displayed. I can either select them on the display or use the Style Element buttons. I can touch here to loop the selected section. Press Exit. If your MIDI song doesn't have markers, you can easily create your own. I'll load in this MIDI file called Blues Guitar and go back to the markers page. All you do is play the song, and where you want the marker, touch Add. If you touch Add within the early beats of a measure, the beginning of the current measure is saved as a marker. If you touch Add within the last beat of a measure, the beginning of the following measure is saved as a marker. Let's add a few. Once you've added your markers, press Exit, Page Menu, Save Song, and yes, the markers are now saved in your MIDI file. Effects. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. And reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. The PA5X has an exceptional integrated effects system. There are 4 main sections: the individual EQs, the insert and master effects, the finalizer effects, and the final mastering effects. Remember that there are 2 simultaneous players. Each of them have their own set of effects, and each of the keyboard sets being used have their own set of effects. So each of the style or MIDI song tracks of player 1 have their own EQs, and each of the keyboard sets have their own EQs. Plus there are 10 insert effects available for player 1, and simultaneously 10 insert effects available for player 2. There are 3 master effects available for player 1, and simultaneously 3 master effects available for player 2. The effects available to the players are referred to as Effect Group A. Plus, there is a set of finalizer effects, an equalizer and a limiter for each of the players. The keyboard sets being used with each player each have their own EQs and effects as well. There are 3 insert effects available and 3 master effects available simultaneously for the 2 current keyboard sets. The insert and master effects available to the keyboard set are referred to as Effect Group B. First, let's look at the EQs. Go to the Funk and Blues category, page 1, Slap Funk, Exit. Press Menu, Mixer Effects, and touch here to go to the individual EQs. Upper 1, 2, and 3 and lower of the keyboard set, as well as each of the 4 pads, have their own 3-band EQ. Touch here to display the style tracks. Each of these have their own 3-band EQ as well. An effects group has 2 different types of effects: insert effects and master effects. When a sound is routed into an insert effect, the audio signal passes directly through the effect. Think of it as a guitar effect pedal you plug in and out of. Touch the Insert Effects tab. Like with the EQ page, this toggles between displaying the pads and keyboard and the style tracks. Make sure it's on pads and keyboard. There are 3 simultaneous insert effects available and can be freely assigned to upper 1, 2, and 3 and lower. For example, you can use all 3 insert effects on upper 1 or one insert effect for upper 1, 2, and 3, etc. To select an insert effect, turn it on, then touch here, and touch here. The insert effects are grouped by category on the left. Touch Filter, and the filter effects are available here. Let's choose Stereo Wah Auto Wah. Press Exit, and the edit page for the effect is displayed. Exit. Touch here to toggle to the style tracks. You can use 10 simultaneous insert effects, and like with the keyboard set, they can be assigned freely with a maximum of 3 insert effects per track. They are assigned, selected, and edited in the same way as we saw before. The drum kit is a special case. Touch the drum kit icon here. The sounds of a drum kit are grouped together in families, for example, bass drums, snare drums, toms, etc. Insert effects can be assigned to the individual groups here. For example, from the modulator category, a stereo flanger insert effect on all the snares. You can have a maximum of 2 insert effects per group. The 10 simultaneous insert effects are shared, so you could use 4 insert effects here, press Exit, and the remaining 6 insert effects for the rest of the style tracks. Master effects work differently. They are mixed in parallel with the dry signal coming from a track. You can apply as much or as little of a master effect you want for each track or keyboard set sound using the send parameters. So you can have a little bit of reverb on a piano, none on a bass guitar, and a lot on a string pad. Go to the Master Effects tab. These are the 3 available Group A master effects used for the style tracks or the MIDI song tracks and the pads. And these are the 3 available Group B master effects used by the keyboard set. In this case, a reverb and a chorus. Turning on the effects, selecting, and editing are done the same way as we saw with the insert effects. Go to the Master Effects Send tab and toggle to Pads and Keyboard. The Master Effect 1 Send sets how much reverb is on upper 1. Master Effect 2 Send sets how much chorus is on upper 1. Back to the Master Effect tab. The style is using all 3 master effects. Go to the Master Effects Send tab and toggle to Style. The 3 send knobs above each style track adjust the amount of each of the master effects. At the top of the drum track and the percussion track, this drum kit icon takes us to this window. Here, each drum family has their own 3 effect sends. For example, it's common to have reverb on a snare drum, but none on a bass drum. Press Exit. Go to the Finalizer tab. This is where you access a programmable EQ and limiter for the style and its 4 pads or a MIDI song. The keyboard set doesn't go through the finalizer effects. These effects give the sound of a song a clear and punchy finish before being sent to the mastering effects on the audio outputs. This looks like a simple 4-band EQ, but touch here to expand and see all the parameters. Each band has selectable frequency, Q, or the width of the range being boosted or cut, and the amount. You can have low or high shelving EQ curves, bell peaking type EQ curves. There are even high pass and low pass filters. These are studio grade mastering effects with a pleasant warm analog sound. Press Exit. These settings are saved with each style or MIDI song. Press Exit. And finally, the Max Audio Mastering Effects collection from Waves. Go to Settings, Waves. These effects are positioned at the end of the signal chain just before the audio outputs, adding to the depth of the sound coming out of the PA5X. There are 2 main sections, a 7-band EQ and Master, which gives you a simple single parameter for bass, treble, stereo, and volume that do complex parameter adjustments behind the scene, making it easy and intuitive to dial in what sounds best to you. Both EQ and Master have presets to use as a starting point, plus you can save your own. Press Exit. Microphone and guitar effects. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. And reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. The PA5X has the ability to plug in a microphone and a guitar and add separate effect processing. First, let's look at the vocal effects. The PA5X has a new vocal processor from Shift Audio that provides 4 high-quality harmony voices and 4 doubling voices, along with a newly designed auto pitch feature. Plus, separate filter, modulation, delay, and reverb effects can all be used simultaneously on your voice. Let's start by connecting a microphone. Make sure the control section is set to main. Use slider 1 to turn the mic volume down completely, and make sure switch 1, the microphone on-off, is off. Plug the microphone into the mic input on the back of the PA5X. Either a 1/4-inch jack or an XLR jack can be used with this type of connector. I'm using a dynamic microphone which doesn't require powering. This is usually the type of mic used in live situations. If you're using a condenser mic that needs phantom power, go to Settings, Audio Video, Audio In tab, and touch here. If you're using a dynamic mic, turn it off. Now let's adjust the input. Press Menu, Mic Setup, EQ Dynamics tab. Reach back and use the gain knob next to the mic input to adjust the input gain.
Check, 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 check.
Keep the maximum in the yellow range.
Check, check, check.
On this same page, there's an EQ, a compressor, and a gate to further refine your vocal sound. Press Exit. Turn on the mic, and slowly bring up the mic volume using slider 1. Here on the mic guitar page, you can see the current vocal preset, chord harmony off, and that all of the effects are muted except for delay and reverb. Unmute the doubler.
Hey, yeah.
Mute the doubler and unmute the harmonies. Play a chord to establish the chord for the harmonies, and sing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Touch the preset and select the one you want. For example, one voice up, meaning just one harmony above the note you sing. You can use switch 2 in the control section to quickly unmute the harmonies. Remember to trigger a chord first.
Went that down.
2 voices down, 2 harmonies sung below your note.
Oh, why did I?
The presets are grouped in categories here on the left. Go to the Note category and select Notes Natural. These presets use the notes you play to trigger the voices. I'll lower the volume of the keyboard set so we can hear the harmony better.
La 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 la.
When playing a MIDI song, the harmony notes can be received from a song's track, usually track 5 in many commercial standard MIDI files. This is the preset to use for that purpose. Go to the Effects category and select 1 Up plus Auto Pitch. Press Exit. There's also an auto pitch feature that will correct the pitch subtly or in the more drastic robotic way. First, I'll mute auto pitch and I'll sing this. When I unmute the auto pitch, it sounds like this. To edit a preset, press Menu, Mic Preset, and touch the effect you want to edit. Press Exit. To choose a different effect, for example a different reverb, touch here, then touch the name of the current effect here at the top. Then Exit. Here are all the parameters of the reverb. Press Exit. Then the preset can be saved to a user location with whatever effects you want muted or unmuted. Press Exit twice to return to the mic and guitar page. During a live show, you may want to speak to the audience while a style or song is playing. This function can be assigned to one of the user buttons in the control section. Hold down Shift and press any of the control buttons to get to this page. For example, you could change the last button that's turning the metronome on-off. Touch here, scroll over, and there's Mic Talkover. Then when that button is on, the music volume will be lowered and the mic reverb is muted, allowing you to be heard better. For now, leave it as it is, press Exit twice, and mute the microphone. Now let's take a look at the guitar effects. Before connecting a guitar, be sure to set the control section to main, and use slider 4 to turn the volume of the guitar down completely. And make sure switch 4, the guitar input, is off. After plugging in the guitar into the guitar input on the back of the PA5X, adjust the guitar input in the same way we did with the microphone. Go to Settings, Menu, Guitar Setup. I've already adjusted mine. Press Exit. Press Switch 4 to turn on the guitar, and slowly bring up the guitar volume using Slider 4. The current guitar effect preset is Clean AC30 SC. You can have a maximum of 4 effects in the preset. In this chain there's a compressor, a tape echo, a guitar amp and cabinet modeling effect, and plate reverb. You can mute and unmute each effect by touching them here. To select a different preset, touch here. The presets are grouped in categories on the left and selected in the usual way here on the right. From the modulation category, select Stereo Chorus and press Exit. You can edit or create your own guitar effect preset and save it to the user bank in the same way we did with the vocal effects by pressing Menu, Guitar Preset, etc. Press Exit and mute the guitar input. SongBook. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. And reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. SongBook is an extremely powerful feature of your PA5X. It's a programmable musical database. In the SongBook area, press Book. Basically, you have a list of song titles called song entries. When you select a song entry, it automatically brings up a style, a standard MIDI file, a karaoke MIDI file, or an MP3 for you to use to perform that song. You can step through the list using the up-down buttons or the wheel. You can use the scroll bar. If you hold the Shift button and touch the scroll bar arrows at the top or bottom, it jumps to the next or previous alphabetical section. Scroll back to the top and select a gigolo. The song title automatically calls up the appropriate style to perform that song into the current player, in this case, player 1. Everything is ready, including the tempo, 4 keyboard sets, even the best choice of intro and variation. Play a chord and press Start. Go to the Entry Edit page. Tags and lyrics. You can give each song entry tags like the musical genre and the artist, so they're easy to search for later. Go to the Mic Guitar Chord Sequence tab. Each song entry can have a specific mic preset and guitar preset saved with it. Or, if this settings icon is selected, it will use the default mic or guitar preset. If you want to change the default presets, go to Settings, Mic Setup, and select it here. And Menu, Guitar Setup, select it here. Press Exit. Let's create our own song entry using a style. And press Style to select a style for player 1. Funk and Blues, Page 1, Bluey Groove. Press Exit. Let's set it up so the first variation is Variation 3, starting with Intro 3. Always choose the variation first and then the intro you want. Page Menu, Save Book Entry, touch T and name it Joyride. Touch OK, touch Save, and Yes to confirm. Press Book, and there's our song title. If we go to a different entry, for example, Jump Rock, then go back to Joyride, it's all ready to go. The entry can be edited further from here. Let's change the first keyboard set. Go to the Entry Edit page, Play and Keyboard Set page, and uncheck this All box. Make sure the keyboard set library buttons are set to category, and let's choose an organ by pressing Organ and selecting BX3 High Perk. Exit. Now let's add a chord sequence by going to the Mic Guitar Chord Sequence tab. Touch here, Pop and Dance category, Page 2, New Disco. Exit. You can use the page menu to save the song entry, or holding down the Book button until this right window appears. And touch Save, and Yes. Go back to the book page, choose a different song entry, and back to Joyride. Everything is there. Press Start. Turn on chord sequence. You can make changes to the style in several different ways to suit a wide variety of songs. For example, the tempo, you can choose different sounds for the style tracks, make edits to any of the sounds used in the style, mute unwanted tracks, and much more. And it can all be done without affecting the original style, or having to copy it to a user location in order to make the necessary changes. Press Exit. You can create song entries using standard MIDI files, karaoke MIDI files, or MP3s as well. I'll add this MIDI file from my USB. Then I'll use the Quick Save method by holding down the Book button until this right window appears. It's already brought in the name of the MIDI file, but you can change it if you want. Touch Save, then Yes to confirm. Press Book, and there it is. Typically, performers prepare set lists for a show, a list of songs they will play. You can prepare several custom set lists using SongBook. Press Set List. Here you can select which list you want. As you can see, Korg has included a few already. Set lists can be used in Tile View or in List View. In Tile View, songs are shown as pages of tiles. From the Page menu, select Preferences and choose List View. By the way, in List View, you have up and down buttons on the display to move song entries around. For now, set it back to Tile View. Let's create a new set list. Page menu, New Set List. Press Book and choose a song entry to add. If I hold down Shift, I can select multiple entries. Touch Add to Set List. Touch Add. Back to Set List. And there are the 3 songs we added. To name and save your setlist, go to the Page menu, Save Setlist, touch T and name it. Recording. If you want to follow along with this chapter, you'll need to restart your PA5X so we'll both be in the same place from the beginning. And reset the crossfade slider by moving it a bit and setting it to the left. There are 2 ways to record a song on the PA5X: MP3 audio recording and 16-track MIDI recording. Let's start with MP3 audio recording. The recorder will record any audio created by the PA5X or plugged into the audio inputs in the back. So the style or the standard MIDI file, anything you play on the keyboard or pads, even the microphone input harmonies and effects, and the guitar input and effects will be recorded. Select any style you wish. I'm going to use a SongBook entry I created and saved that uses the style Something Ballad. I saved it as Video MP3 Record. Press Record Edit and select Audio Record. You can choose the audio quality here. Here you choose where the file will be temporarily stored until you decide where you want to save it. Leave it on disk. When you're ready, touch Record. Touch Stop on the display. You can touch T to name the MP3. I'm going to leave it as it is. Touch here and select the USB drive and press Exit. Touch Save. The MP3 you created can be played by player 1 or 2 or by any MP3 player. Press Exit. Press Song. Go to the USB drive, touch Take 1. Press Exit and press Start. There's the song. Also, you can record to another MP3 while adding additional parts. The same process as before, but instead of playing a style, you play the new MP3 file while playing or singing additional parts. You can repeat the process, overdubbing as many times as you like.
I know what you wanted.
Now the 16-track MIDI sequencer. One use, of course, is to use it to record each track yourself from scratch. But a more common use is when you have a standard MIDI file you're using and you'd like to add an extra part to it. To do that, first of all, load the MIDI file into Player 1, Song, USB drive, and select the song. By the way, Player 1 is always the one used for MIDI sequencing and style edit. Let's add a part on track 16. Press Record Edit, then Song Edit. Now press Menu and touch Mixer Effects. Touching here toggles between displaying tracks 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. At the top of the screen are the icons of the instrument families and the sounds assigned to each track. Touch track 16. Then touch the icon to open the sound selection window. Touch Factory, Electric Piano category, page 4, Early Classic 1. Press Exit and exit again. I can select the record mode here. Overdub would add to whatever is on track 16, so choose Overwrite. As soon as I start Player 1, it will give me a 1 measure count in and start recording. To save what we've done, go to the Page menu and select Save Song. Touch the T to access the naming window, and we'll add the number 2 to the end of the name. Touch OK. You can touch here and choose the drive to save it to. We'll keep it on the same drive, so touch Save. Once it's finished saving, press the Record Edit button. A dialog informs you will lose any unsaved data by exiting. We've saved it, so touch Yes. Our new MIDI file is already in Player 1. Let's listen. Previously, when you wanted to change something in a MIDI file, for example, the level of a track, the panning, the effect sends, etc., you had to load it into a sequencer and edit the controller data in the first measure of a track. The same process was necessary if you wanted a different sound on a track or different effects. With the PA5X, this isn't necessary. Once the MIDI file is assigned to Player 1, press Menu and touch Mixer Effects, and it can all be done from here. And stop. Page menu, Save Song, Yes. Press Exit. Data management. First, let's understand the file system of the PA5X. All data, such as styles, MP3s, MIDI files, etc., are read directly from the drives. There's an inaccessible section on the internal drive containing all of the PA5X factory data. The rest of the drive, as well as any connected USB drives, are all accessible by you, the end user. Also, on the back, there's access to a slot where you can insert a micro SD up to 1 terabyte in size. With all of these drives available, it might get confusing where everything is, but the PA5X makes it easy with the visible drive path information when selecting a style, sound, MIDI file, etc. Press the Player 1 Song button. For example, you'll notice there's a folder on my USB drive called PA5X Style Demos, with MP3s in it. I'll select one. You'll see that there are 2 more folders. The data path is shown along the bottom of the display. Song folder, drives, my USB name PA5X video, then the PA5X style demos folder, then the dance folder. I can touch here to go to the currently selected file, or touch here to go up one level at a time, or touch here to go to the root of the currently selected drive. Press Exit. Press the File button. Here you can access the internal and external memory to save and load your own data. By the way, some data, like sounds, PCM, and SongBook, are organized in banks. But styles, keyboard sets, pads, and chord sequences are accessed as single files and not bank files. So file browsing is very similar to that of a normal computer, making it much easier to find, copy, and move files around. Press Menu and touch USB connection. It's also possible to connect to a computer using the USB device port on the back, allowing you to access the internal memory. For example, to drag and drop MP3 files between your computer and the PA5X. Press Exit. Let's make a backup of our PA5X data to see how the process is done. Touch Internal, Page Menu, Save. It's written in red here that first we need to make a .kst directory that will contain all the different folders of files like styles, sounds, etc. Touch here. Page Menu. Create New KST. Touch T and name the KST folder. And touch OK and OK again. Now touch Save. And everything is saved to the new KST folder. Back to drives, and there's our new KST folder. Touch it. Here are all the folders. Remember that what we saved is all the user data, like user styles, user keyboard sets, etc. We didn't create any of those, so these folders are mostly empty. Now let's load what we saved. We selected our new .kst folder, so you'll see it highlighted on the left, and the contents on the right. If you wanted to load just the chord sequences, you'd then touch that folder. Then that will be highlighted on the left with contents on the right. Touch up to go back to the .kst folder. Page Menu, Load. Touch Replace All, so the data won't be added to what's already in the PA5X, it will replace it. Then touch Load. It's possible to convert data from the PA4X so it can be used in the new PA5X system. It's not possible to convert absolutely everything, but the most important things like styles, samples, sounds, keyboard sets, pads, etc. are. Press Menu, Import. Here is where you select a PA-series.set file, where you will save the new .kst folder, and what you want to name it. Some data can take longer to convert, for example, styles. By the way, if for some reason you want to go back to some or all of the factory settings, press Menu and touch Factory Restore. Here you can restore all of the resources, or uncheck all and select the specific ones you want to restore. Press Exit. It's a good idea to check Korg.com occasionally for operating system updates for your PA5X. Korg looks for ways to improve your instrument, including the addition of features requested by end users. To find out what your operating system version is, still in File, open the Page menu and touch System Info. Touch OK. Press Exit. Okay, that's it. We hope you found this video helpful. And remember that for more information, the PDF manuals available on Korg.com cover every detail of this amazing instrument. Everyone at Korg wants to thank you for purchasing your PA5X. You have so much musical enjoyment ahead of you. You made the right choice.